holy man, we made it to the end of another week. I don't know how you guys have been feeling, but I just got through one of the, being the sickest I have been, I think, ever maybe, but anyways, for a long time. And then this morning, to top things off, the tooth fairy forgot to come and to pick up my daughter's tooth.
Oh, it's cold.
What a jerk.
It's cold though.
How could she ruin the week like that?
Her wings. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe she's in the Canada Post Union.
I'll ask my daughter if she's heard of that. But you guys doing okay?
Yeah, surviving.
You made it?
Yeah, survived. Yeah. I had the torn cornea, but yes, my eye's much better.
Yeah.
Other than the torn cornea.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
Which you should get some more details about, because when people hear that, they go, oh, I don't know what that is, but it sounds bad.
Yeah. And I didn't realize this. It feels like there's something in your eye, but there's nothing. And it feels like basically a cheese grater going back and forth on your eye, whether it's open or not.
My word.
That's awful. I think the cheese grater.
Yeah, besides being on cheese.
Yeah, besides that.
But I did not know this, that it's like an autoimmune disease. So, I mean, it's caused like asthma or anything like that. So it could be, it's just, your resistance gets down, stress, anything like that, and it just kind of flares up.
Wow.
But thank God for antibiotics.
And Uncle Biotics.
I know, I should not say that. I know.
Don't even get me started on the antibiotics. Try to get It did?
Yeah, I put it right back in though.
Oh.
Look at the
So
tin man.
resilient, eh? Yeah. Well, speaking of the heart and matters of the heart, Valentine's Day is on its way. We want to talk a little bit about chivalry and those lines between when you're being sexist or when you're just being a romantic guy. But the story goes back to something a little bit more news and sports related, which is actually a great place to start. Al, do you want to take it away and kind of give us some background on Genie Bouchard? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, and as many people now know, because she has become, a real sensation in our country. She
Like a real tennis sensation.
real tennis and athletic sensation, and first Canadian, I believe, to reach a major semi-final. In this case, the Australian Open since 1984, I believe it was. And sure enough, after winning her quarterfinal match in upset fashion, and such a great athletic achievement, sure enough, one of the questions from an Australian reporter, female reporter we should add, of course, was about who you would date. When this happened, there was a few things that ran through my mind. First of all, what a moronic, idiotic thing to ask.
Well, out of all the questions, with the lead-up, even the small lead-up you gave to us, there's several good, appropriate questions to be asking.
Of course.
I would think anything to do with tennis might have been a good way
Right?
to go.
That's a good place to start.
Yeah.
But then I also thought to myself, I had to take a step back, because we have all talked about this in the past few months even. We have seen so many broadcasters and journalists losing their jobs. And I bet that whoever this reporter is did not want to ask this question.
One said so, in fact, right?
Right.
So I was told to ask
but
this
was
question.
probably being told in her ear by someone in a supervisory position, you better ask this question. And I thought, there's so many out of work journalists right now. So I took a step back and I thought, boy, in fairness to her, that must have been such a difficult place for her to be put in. Everyone talked about Genie Bouchard and the position she had been put in. I was thinking about the journalist and what a difficult place that would have been. And what do you do, in that respect?
Is there more context behind it, or
There was a gallery of her fans were up, and they were mostly men, because she's athletic and she's a gorgeous woman, and so they wanted the reporter to ask the question. So they were like screaming for the answer. That's why
And
it
so
was
when
so
she
driven.
said Justin Bieber, they were all like, no, of course. And so it is that entertainment moment where that gets ratings, that gets tweets, that gets whatever.
Another thing is that this sports reporter is actually an ex-tennis player. She's a professional tennis player, which makes it. And you know what? I don't. Even if you feel pressure to ask that, you still asked that. I don't know.
Would they ask Rafael Nadal, though?
Yeah, no, I just mean, I think the reporter should take the blame. She asked it.
Yeah.
I mean, there might have been pressure, but still, comes to a point where you're like, no.
It's Bouchard, I think, right? Bouchard, she handled it great. She did a great job with it. She didn't, if that had been Nadal, he would have been like, are you serious? Like he would have just paused.
Yeah.
She just rolled with it, which I think was impressive on her part. Whether that's because she's young and just was uncomfortable and just wanted to
think she
answer
looked
it,
uncomfortable.
and then she just kind of chuckled a little bit. And she made it look like she wasn't super awful about it, but. The thing is, I could see if it was like a 20-minute interview and that was like the last question, you know, like, would you rather be a samurai or a Jedi? Like something random like that at the end. But for it to be like, hey, you did something totally incredible. So now that you're huge and big, who would you date? Like, what does that have to do
so you just
with
go
anything?
have babies and barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen? Like, yeah.
It's kind of been an ugly week for women in sports. I was telling Al this morning, actually, I read online that the Russian ski jumping coach, he was asked, I forget what the question was, but basically he said he would never allow his daughter to compete in ski jumping because it's too dangerous for women and they have other roles at home. Oh. Yeah, and that was gross. And then there was also a British gymnast who was doing a live Q&A session on Twitter this week, and she was supposed to be answering questions about her career and stuff like that, but it spiraled out of control and was eventually just stopped because she was just being bombarded with sexist comments, sexist questions, and it's all over online too. So it's just been kind of.
Is that a statement on Twitter though too? I mean, because anybody can type anything, and there is that fearlessness that nobody knows who I am. I can ask anything outrageous. Whether that would have been totally different if it was in a TV studio with the audience right there, and you have to stand up and ask your question.
And then in that interview, the reporter had control, whereas on Twitter, she was just like, bring it on. On Twitter, that's what she was doing. She was just ask all these questions, whatever you want. It's a slightly different situation, but I see what you mean. It's just automatically it spins out of control, and I don't think it would happen for
so what
a
is
male
it? I
athlete.
mean, Kim mentioned that too for this Bouchard. It's ratings, it's Twitter. She gets exposed, so she felt uncomfortable. The reporter asked a asinine question. How much then is this just a spin-off to get attention? Justin Bieber, we looked him up. He's, arrested for drunken driving.
DU everything.
DU everything. And we say, oh, we don't care, but we do care because we're all looking.
Yeah.
Are we to blame?
Especially you didn't say like Johnny McDonald or someone awesome. Like someone impressive. Justin Bieber, all the Canadian people, and that's the one you pick.
But when it comes to women in sport and athleticism, we haven't come a long way, have we? Or so it would seem, anyhow.
So it would seem, and we haven't come a long way in really any aspect of society. If women can't, I hear it all the time. Even in our own industry, a woman gets a good break, and it's always the first comment. Oh, I wonder who she slept with to get there. I mean, these are just comments that are rampant that people say under their breath. But like you said, you have a faceless entity as a with a Twitter handle or whatever, and you feel bold enough to say it. So I guess the honesty comes forward.
And now Ms. Bouchard has lost her semifinal. And I wonder, just all this attention.
Well, that's right.
I wonder if that had a real impact on her performance.
Well, it's hard enough to get out there and perform and get your head in the game, and then on top of it, you got to think about all these guys who are ogling you. It's pretty sickening. Anyway, we're going to take a quick little break. Moving on to some more serious questions, like how will we survive without the classic blue flavor?
Oh no, the blue flavor is added. It's new. Yeah. Okay. Is that how we're gonna?